At 3:50 a.m. on Monday, April 18, 2016, inside the silent, dark building of the Creekside Church of Christ in Midlothian, Texas, a security camera recorded the presence of an absolute anomaly. Heavy rain fell outside, a deliberate environmental constraint that kept most traffic off the roads and created a temporary world of isolation around the building. The figure was swaddled from head to toe in what appeared to be police-style tactical gear, complete with a helmet, a vest that bore the lettering "Police," heavy gloves, and thick boots. This comprehensive costume served as a functional and psychological barrier, ensuring that anyone who saw them might logically pause, assuming the figure represented authority responding to an emergency rather than an immediate threat. This quiet invasion, therefore, was not merely a physical act of trespass, but a calculated assault on the basic psychological mechanics of trust and compliance. Most people are conditioned from childhood to yield to the sight of an official uniform, leading to a profound hesitation that grants the wearer an invaluable moment of control. Instead of moving with the urgency of a burglar seeking quick exit or the precision of an officer on a call, the intruder wandered through the dark hallways for over 20 minutes. This bizarre, unhurried movement sparked immediate curiosity among investigators, revealing an unusual calmness that signaled deep intentionality rather than opportunistic chaos, establishing the presence of a structured plan. The intruder's preparation included a precise exploitation of an individual's dependable routine, which in this case was not a secret, but a public offering. 45-year-old Missy Bevers, a wife, mother, and fitness instructor, had built her entire professional life around the predictable schedule of her Camp Gladiator classes, which typically began before dawn at 5 a.m. Her dedication meant she was always the first to arrive, setting up equipment in the church gym, a necessary omission that left a critical window of vulnerability between 4:16 a.m. when she parked and 5 a.m. when the first participants arrived. The fact that she had openly posted a quick message on social media shortly before the class, confirming the indoor location due to the heavy storms, solidified her exact location and arrival time for anyone watching her digital footprint.
Before we go on, a small favor, please subscribe to the channel. It helps a lot. Thank you, and let's continue with the story.
Analysis of the surveillance footage revealed a dramatic systemic inversion of expected criminal behavior, as the actions recorded only made sense if their purpose was not theft, but timing and misdirection. The figure in tactical gear broke glass on an interior door and opened multiple others, yet they took no high-value objects like computers, cash, or sound equipment, suggesting the apparent vandalism was a staged effort to frame the crime as a random break-in gone wrong. This complete lack of focus on financial gain or obvious burglary targets immediately reversed the initial police theory, introducing the partial understanding that Missy herself, not the church's contents, must have been the sole point of the entire elaborate operation. The failure of the break-in theory led to a painful moral and societal implication. The very mechanisms women are taught to use for safety, building community, maintaining transparent routines, and trusting known spaces, were precisely what created the structural opportunity for violence. This structure of the trap became visible. Predictable routine, a trusted and isolated location, and a public timetable all converged, making her search for community the invisible map for her attacker. The satisfaction derived from this insight is the clarity of how such systems can fail, providing a cognitive reward for recognizing that danger often hides behind the appearance of order and trust, rather than emerging from the expected shadows. As the case moved forward without an arrest, the future vector of the threat settled into a controlled uncertainty, demonstrating that a sophisticated, planned attack can remain unresolved even with abundant surveillance evidence. The pattern, now visible in its mechanics, remains portable. The deliberate selection of a victim's most predictable routine, the use of psychological camouflage, and the exploitation of a trusted environment. This enduring ambiguity confirms that while justice is sought through conventional means like arrest and trial, the lesson lies in the cognitive mastery of the deceptive mechanism itself, restoring faith in logic by recognizing how similar patterns can persist in different lives. The detailed reconstruction of the environmental constraints around the crime time revealed a series of near-miss tensions that could have shattered the assailant's plan, yet the conditions aligned perfectly. The heavy, early morning storm, which compelled Missy to post the indoor location and reduced the number of cars traveling past the church, acted as a protective shield for the intruder, softening or erasing potential physical evidence such as tire tracks or shoe impressions. Had the weather been clear, had one student arrived only 10 minutes early, or had a police patrol driven by at the precise moment of entry, the entire chain of events could have been severed, but the timing held, trapping Missy alone inside the predictable setting. This meticulous timing confirmed the psychological mechanics of an obsessive fixation, where every aspect of the victim's public life became an input for a violent script. Investigators discovered that Missy's life, while outwardly vibrant and stable as a fitness trainer and community leader, contained complex and stressful interpersonal connections. Reports emerged of a strained marriage, financial pressures, and extramarital conversations. Crucially, she had received a message on LinkedIn, described by a friend as creepy, shortly before her death, which served as a potential, though unverified, crack in the facade of normalcy. The discovery of these private complications introduced a new layer of partial understanding. The killer had not only weaponized Missy's public visibility, but may have also capitalized on the emotional noise and vulnerability present in her life. While the simplest theory points to a jealous or rejected admirer, the crime's sheer structural complexity, the costume, the pre-staged break-in, the targeted time window, moves beyond simple emotional reaction and suggests the omission of an obvious suspect in favor of a calculated external threat. The combination of a digitally public schedule, a known location, and a strained personal life created a dense pattern of exposure, regardless of who ultimately used it.
Before we go on, a small favor, please subscribe to the channel. It helps a lot. Thank you, and let's continue with the story.
The visual data from the internal cameras provided a critical reversal against the expectation of a panicked, clumsy intruder, instead showing a figure moving with a practiced, almost rehearsed manner. The distinct lumbering gait, with hunched shoulders and a possible outward turn of the right foot, sparked intense public analysis, with viewers and experts debating whether the walk was natural, indicative of a specific injury, or a deliberate exaggeration intended to mask gender or identity. The fact that this individual could spend 20 minutes inside a building with active cameras, performing aimless damage while waiting for their target, suggested a chilling comfort with the isolation they had engineered. The choice of the police-style uniform speaks directly to a broad moral and societal implication. The attacker chose a symbol of protection to guarantee immediate, unearned access. The cultural expectation that a uniform must be approached with deference and never with suspicion serves as a powerful psychological mechanism that allows an individual to override another's natural self-preservation instinct. If Missy had encountered the figure, her first impulse, taught by societal conditioning, would likely have been curiosity or compliance rather than immediate flight, precisely because the clothing masked the motive. This insight grants the cognitive mastery of recognizing how compliance is weaponized, where acting like one belongs, or wearing the clothes of belonging, instantly neutralizes the suspicion of outsiders. The remaining future vector of this pattern lies in its potential for recurrence, demonstrating how human systems fail for structurally identifiable reasons that are not dependent on the identity of the person involved. The case remains open, The person in the tactical gear is still unidentified, and the deepest motive behind the highly specific attack remains a piece of controlled uncertainty. However, the core lesson extracted is the ability to shift perspective, to see routine not just as comfort, but as a map, to view a trusted location not as an impenetrable fortress, but as a site of potential isolation. The resilience lies in the recognition that awareness itself is the final form of protection against a threat that relies on denial and assumed safety. The physical facts of the environmental setting, a church, a storm, a narrow time window, all speak to a non-random selection process, reinforcing the initial anomaly of the intruder's presence. The white pickup truck seen circling nearby businesses shortly before the entry was another factual anchor, providing a quiet pre-crime observation of an individual waiting for the perfect alignment of solitude and predictability. This deliberate, measured approach stands in stark contrast to the expected frantic pace of spontaneous crime, marking the entire scene as a constructed environment of vulnerability engineered to ensure Missy was isolated and undefended. The full sweep of the investigation detailed the psychological mechanics of following every rational thread in a murder case, focusing first on those closest to the victim. Analysts reviewed Missy's communications, including texts, Facebook messages, and the unsettling LinkedIn contact, searching for a sign of known conflict, jealousy, or obsession that might have preceded the calculated violence. They brought in specialists, forensic podiatrists and clothing experts, to analyze the minute details of the footage, attempting to decode the slight shifts in posture and movement that the uniform was meant to conceal. This collective effort demonstrated a commitment to reducing chaos to recognizable patterns, prioritizing the cold logic of evidence over the emotional pull of speculation. The individual error of the attacker, or the oversight by the system, was the failure to account for the digital footprint that documented the precise elements needed for the attack, leading to the necessary omission of facts that didn't support a random event. By promoting her fitness business through public social media posts, Missy was simply conforming to the expectations of her profession, making her movement patterns and location known to hundreds of potential clients. However, this transparency meant the killer didn't need to stalk her through the night. They only needed to monitor her posts, effectively using her visibility as a non-consensual map to her precise location and time of vulnerability. The existence of a simple, quick window for intervention introduces a final systemic inversion, as the entire crime hinged on the absence of a witness for a mere 44 minutes. Had the community not depended so heavily on her punctual routine, or had the storm not deterred so many casual observers, the intrusion might have been interrupted during the 20 minutes the figure wandered the halls. This near miss highlights the fragility of protective systems, revealing that even a high-commitment, public-facing life can be reduced to a solitary, unguarded moment when a determined individual chooses to exploit the gaps in the surveillance and the schedule. The investigation's inability to definitively name the individual, despite extensive footage and background checks, led to a profound moral implication regarding the nature of authority and perception in modern society. The disguise's success was dependent not on its perfect realism, but on its ability to command a few seconds of recognition and compliance, overriding the viewer's critical eye with the suggestion of official business. The truth is found in the cognitive shift, realizing that safety is not guaranteed by the presence of a church or the look of a uniform, but by the conscious decision to question context, no matter how politely the situation is packaged. The case ends not with a criminal sentence, but with a persistent future vector that requires the audience to carry the structural awareness forward. The fact remains that the assailant successfully utilized predictability, isolation, and psychological manipulation, leaving a mechanism that can be repeated wherever high-commitment routines create a dependable map for external malice. The figure that walked into that church remains an anonymous representation of a structural danger, defined not by their identity, but by their method. Missy's daughters have grown older since that morning. Her friends continue to push for information, and the community has wrestled with the betrayal of a trusted space. The logic remains clear. The chaos of that Monday morning was simply the inevitable conclusion of a planned sequence of choices, where public information was gathered, a disguise was procured, and a window of solitude was deliberately chosen. The final lesson, therefore, is not about the tragedy itself, but the calm confidence derived from seeing the invisible script used against her. One cannot afford to let politeness or assumption override the cold, rational recognition that context, time, and costume must align perfectly. All interpretations are based on publicly available information. This content does not make medical or diagnostic claims, nor does it speculate beyond established evidence.
If you'd like to keep exploring cases like this, there's another one waiting for you on screen. I think you'll find it meaningful. Click on it, and thank you for watching.